Welcome to The Fence with your hosts, Mitch
and Gar.
We'll be diving into all kinds of topics to help give a leg up to both first-time exercisers or those of you that have been doing it for a long time but need a little extra help. The topics we cover could help.
A lot. Okay, let's get too technical. Hey, man, I just came back yesterday night, so I'll be like a
Welcome, Gar, back from Mexico.
Yeah, barely woke up today and stuff. But, yeah, health, strength, just freaking, what you call that?
Fat loss, erectile dysfunction.
Oh, yeah. There was actually so much Cialis for sale. I wish I bought it
in
for
Mexico?
you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Black market.
Next time I'm going to get it for you.
Yeah, bring your whole bag.
Viagra.
I'll send you with a carry-on just for me.
Absolutely.
And today with us, welcome our guests, Matt Giordano of CrossFit Newtown.
Thank you for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Happy to have you here, man. That's all we needed.
Gigs were for things like, I don't know, I need a balloon twister for a party, or I need a bartender for an event, or I need a bouncer for, that's the way it used to be.
Yeah.
You used to go try to find a gig, or I need a guitarist for a night at the bar or something. And I don't know why that came up, but anyway, so I see a job posting on there that says CrossFit coach. And I'm like, all right, so what do I do here? It's on gigs. Why would it be on gigs? That's so interesting that it's on gigs. So I end up calling the guy up, and it was Dr. Tom. And funny, I was a professor at Montgomery County Community College at the time.
Oh, wow.
My boss got adjusted by Dr. Tom, right? I didn't know they knew each other. So I call him, and I go, well, I'm calling about the coaching job that you have open. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, all right? But we had a conversation. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. So we had a conversation on the phone, went really well. Apparently, we're business partners today. And I showed up. He's back in this little gym, probably not much bigger than what we're in right now. And Doc Tom is jacked. And he's back there, chains around his neck. At least I envision chains around his neck. Sledgehammer with tire inside, and all I hear is the chains going, right? And I walk back there and see this jacked-ass bald dude, like looking like Vin Diesel, a chiropractor. And I'm just like, what the F? What is going on here?
That's a metal as hell shit.
Right,
So I walk in and we meet, and he goes, listen, I got to tell you, I have no idea how you got here, but let's talk because you're here now. Let's talk. So we had a great conversation. So long story short, he had one coach working for him, or he had three coaches. His main coach that was, supposed to run things for him posted the job on Craigslist, hoping that Dr. Tom wouldn't find out, and he'd find his replacement before he told Dr. Tom he was leaving.
So you were supposed to call the number on the Craigslist ad, not show up at the gym.
But I Googled it, and I found that
reached out directly to the location.
Exactly.
Oh.
And it's crazy. So we've been together for 15 years.
That was probably an awkward conversation for him and that trainer after.
It was. It kind of was, but actually that guy, and I could say his name too because he's a good friend of mine still. His name is Justin Duran. He owns CrossFit Nassau in Princeton. And he didn't see the vision at the time, and that's okay. He just didn't see it.
Okay.
Now I was like, why are you leaving, man? He's like, I don't see the growth potential in this particular place. And I was like, okay, I like that. I actually like that. I like that challenge. So let's go and let's try to do this thing. And, I made 100 mistakes and 100 successful decisions and real bad mistakes, lost friends, gained friends. Like it's a crazy ride when you work in the fitness industry.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of nuts where I am today, but that's how CrossFit Newtown was kind of founded. I was a coach for 5 years, a director there for 7 years, and then I've been an owner there for 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you've been there for the entire process. How long were you? Where was the first location? Was that Newtown as well?
Yeah. So every location that we've been on has been on Friends Lane. So we used to be in those townhome-looking offices on Newtown Yardley Road in the corner of Friends Lane.
Okay.
There's some like townhome-looking buildings back there. That's where we were. Then we moved onto Friends Lane. That's more by the in a brick building by the bank. That's it used to be across from Newtown.
A TD Bank? Where was the TD Bank?
I think it was a TD, but
they just closed down.
Yes. So we had a location there, and then we moved all the way to the end of Friends Lane, all the way down the cul-de-sac, by VIP, and we moved down there. And I told Dr. Tom, I was like, I never want to move again.
Yeah.
Ever. And we went through all kinds of stuff with doing business there. It's very hard to do business there. And
As far as like the neighborhood nearby and HOA.
Dude,
I heard HOA is wild.
The HOA is absolutely wild. And at the end of the day, I mean, what do we all do, right? Like, we're helping people solve problems. And there's a big problem in the United States, and I don't want to speak like I'm all up here talking about the whole U.S., but you guys know we're trying to keep people active, right? Like,
Oh,
that's what
absolutely.
we're trying
Listen,
to do
you
here.
can speak that.
It's a
because I'm
pillar
all
of the,
about
pillar
that.
of the
Like,
community,
I always say
like-
too.
which should be
openly.
given like, you know, I don't want to say reference, but like cut off some breaks because we're helping people live longer. We're helping improve their quality of life.
It's nuts. So I mean, we're still jumping through hoops with that stuff. They don't want to exercise in the lot, so we had to make.
I
It's
heard
been going on for years.
So I heard like end of the lot is like there is some plan to make it for running and sprinting and all the stuff.
Originally, the plan that the HOA wanted was we were going to build a running track on the front lawn. That plan for someone, I'm just a renter there. I don't own that building.
I figured,
So-
but it's like you guys grew, like you guys grew up like next to you too, like a building, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Well, that next door is now a karate studio. Yeah, that's
What's it called? Is that
Oh.
the new one that just opened up?
That's Action Karate.
Oh,
And
okay.
they moved from across the street. They were on Penn's Trail across the street.
oh yeah.
And they
yeah.
moved over there. But
But you guys are way wider than VIP though, so that's why I thought like you guys grew up the two, pretty much two buildings right there next to each other. That's what I'm saying.
yes,
Like originally.
Yeah.
So not just one, it's two, and then it's the karate.
Right. And so what we have to do, right, it's two buildings.
Yeah,
and,
that's what I meant.
And so what we're going to do is we're creating an asphalt path from the back of our door up the side of the building
Yeah.
out to the public street.
Okay.
Because that'll solve the problem of keeping people out of the parking lot, keeping them exercising and doing what
Because I'm
this
going to
is
be
what we do.
straightforward too. I almost hit one of your guys
Yeah,
running,
yeah, it's-
because I came out of the corner. There was the SUV parked. No one is visible.
Yeah.
Because I got a sedan. Sedan is pretty low, and I just coming out of the corner, and it's like super slow. You see me driving. It's always chill as hell.
Yeah.
So old man's car, and guy just running in front of me, and I was like, oh crap, almost hit him.
Yeah, I know. And well, that's why we're building a sidewalk.
Yeah.
So it's a little safer. We continue to do what we do. And
I mean, listen, guys, if we will do that in the corner, because Brian told me too, it's like it seems like that at the end, the parking, where it's next to the trees, that's gonna become like that exercise area.
yeah, I mean, you
It
guys.
will be cool.
There should be people in the complex. I mean, you look at a lot of these business complexes. There's walking trails around them.
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
is. Like it's absolutely a perk to move into that complex if there's a walking trail. There is. So.
Yeah, I always have to. I'm always working out, in driveways and parking lots, and sometimes even on the street if the client's driveway doesn't have the room. So I always have these cones with me because, like, God forbid somebody's coming around the corner of my trailer and they don't see us. So I put like a whole bunch of cones out there. And in fact, Tyler State Park, obviously. I heard actually, I'm pretty sure it was you guys during COVID when I first launched my business, possibly maybe right when I got the trailer or even before. And I remember getting workouts in. I would just work out over at the Bowman's Tower parking lot there outside in the rain. I'd work out at Tyler State. And I was getting in one of my outdoor workouts there, and I saw a big group of you guys. I'm pretty sure it was Newtown CrossFit runing up that hill across from the boat dock.
Yeah.
Savages that hill. And then I
I
went and
saw-
tried it after. That's a bitch.
We had so
It's a great sprinting spot.
The standard workout for that hill is 10 ups, 10 up and downs. Walk them, run them. I walk them. Takes me about 45 minutes. And then we had people that were absolutely taking it to the next level. And so we had an event there where these two guys were going for as many as they could. They did 60 trips, 60 up-down trips.
Is that like an all-day event?
It was, and we had different people coming out at different periods of the day and walking with them. But we do run. We have a Sunday Fun Day event at our gym, and one of our first event is at Tyler. It used to start at the hill by the boathouse, and this year we moved it to start at the covered bridge, so it was a little bit different. This year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good lot over there too. It's a little more secluded. I like entering the park from that way.
Yeah.
Only problem is it's kind of like one way in, one way out. Whereas parking at the other lots, you can kind of like pick and choose which route you take and double back a little more efficiently. So Give us a little background. So you've been in the fitness industry, you said, for over 25 years, I think.
Yeah.
You've been at Newtown CrossFit. Was it called that when you first started it?
Well, it was Crossfit Newtown. Dr. Tom started the affiliate, so he already had that going on. And I was like, I don't know about this name. But actually, the name Newtown is so cool because
It's smart.
Newtown is a very unique and cool town. And I love
Absolutely.
Newtown. I love it for a few things. And the number one thing I love it for, it's a historic town. And towns with history are absolutely cool. And there's not many towns left like that.
Right. And
There's
beautiful.
not. And beautiful.
I love the colonial history with it, too. Like, it's my jam, dude. The whole area, really. I love all of Bucks County. I love the river towns,
Yep.
even Bristol and freaking and heading the other way. I love it. But
Here's the thing, though. Like a Newtown is like, it's like its own separate spot. Like that's why I live in Philly, all right, and I driving to get here 30 minutes. But I get here and I'm stuck here all day.
Oh, yeah.
couldn't think of a better, more beautiful place to be stuck, man.
Absolutely.
Instead of taking naps and eating your lunch in your car in Philly, or at least you got a view, right?
Yeah.
But what about you said you were a professor at community college. What did you go to college for? How did you get into the fitness industry as a career?
Yeah, so I guess it actually started in high school, man. I loved to work out, and I played soccer, and my high school coach, he used to rep out 225. He was a soccer coach, big dude, and this dude used to come into the weight room and rep out 225, and I was like, he's a soccer dude.
What a good example, though, to set as a coach. None of my coaches worked out.
Yeah, it's nuts. So we had a good weightlifting class in high school, and I was basically at my job, one of my early on jobs in high school. I was working at my favorite muffin and bagel cafe. Talking to one of my coworkers, I have no idea what I'm going to school for, but I know I want to play soccer. And she's like, well, you like working out? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, my dad majored in exercise physiology. Maybe he's a physical therapist now. Maybe you should go try that. So I was like, sounds good. I get to learn about working out. I'm going to go do it. Most people change their path of education multiple times when they're in college, but day one I got in there, I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Went to East Stroudsburg, ended up playing there for 4 years, graduated with my bachelor's degree. And honestly, you know how it is, like people just don't graduate in 4 years anymore. So all my friends were still in school. So I got a coaching position at the university, and I stayed there for another 2 years for my grad work. At a grad school, where did I start working first? I started working at MediFit Corporate Services, which was a fitness company that worked in Fortune 500 companies. So they would go in and, explain why they need a fitness center, build out the fitness center. Then they would hire people like me to come in and manage it and, bring fitness staff in, run the fitness center, personal training, group exercise classes, floor hours, all that stuff. I did that for a couple of years and ended up moving around, wanted to move out of Jersey, trying to get a house. So I started kind of looking around, and I ended up at the Doylestown YMCA, Central Bucks YMCA, which is a legit YMCA. I actually met one of your members there, Joe Kraus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joe Kraus was a little kid when I was there. And the first thing they told me was when I was hired as the wellness director, we have a small problem, and no other fitness director has been able to solve this. We have a member here at the YMCA that's a little bit different than everyone else. And sometimes when he works out in here, he's real loud, it's intimidating. He was in high school. And there was a lot of YMCAs have a lot of older people, a lot of kids, a lot of families. So they're like, that's your first thing. Me and Joe became best friends the first 2 months. He was never a problem. And we're still friends.
He was the loud exerciser?
He was. And to this day, every time I see him, we talk about those days. There were days where I had, Joe, you cannot drop 550 pounds without anything on steel plates on this floor in the middle of the day when we have 90-year-old Betty and 88-year-old Suzanne and 75-year-old Lou.
You're going to give him a heart attack.
You can't do that, man. So either a different time or let's tone it down. And I was like, I get it. I like that you're lifting heavy, but we just can't do that here. And Joe was very cooperative, and he's the nicest guy in the world. He's a really cool dude. So
here's the thing. I will be straightforward. I don't even know this guy.
You don't know him?
Yeah, because
have you
here's
heard
the thing.
of him?
So I've been heard.
Okay,
I heard some legends about him, but here's the thing. It's when I came from army, he already left the gym.
Oh, okay.
So he was
okay.
not there.
Yeah, he's a good dude. So from the Doylestown YMCA, I was also a professor and a soccer coach at Montgomery County College in exercise science. I was doing that for a few years, and then I I started having kids, and kind of like it was a lot of travel to go out there. So I was kind of looking on doing something on my own. Tried to open a CrossFit gym in Doylestown. That was short-lived. It was kind of in the early infancy. I would say 2005, 2006, and like not good business decisions, terrible. Like what I did then, I'm kind of horrified. If you say, what do you do differently now than then? It was crazy, but just not good decisions. And that business relationship didn't work out. And, you know, that's when I was like, maybe fitness on my own, it's not going to be a thing. Maybe I can't do this on my own. That was the point. That's how I met Dr. Tom. And I've coached at also Bucks County Community College in my early years with Dr. Tom. I coached women's soccer there. I still coach soccer, but now I coach my kids.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's probably a lot of fun too. I have one of my clients and good friends. He hopped in as like an honorary dad coach, but he's one of the only ones that like has background in it, wants to help facilitate and organize and see the kids grow rather than just being like hanging around like, hey, what do you want me to do? You know, and he's loving working with his kids.
I love it. Love it.
It's a whole community too. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. That's probably where your weekends go.
Yep. Yeah, all of them and all day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Oh wow.
All right. So, what do you do for your mental health, man? What do you do in your personal time? Obviously, you exercise. You got to stay fit on some level, and in the fitness industry, we all know how hard it is sometimes to stay accountable. You know, we go through highs and lows just like the average civilian, right? But what do you do outside of lifting weights for yourself?
You know, it's crazy you ask that, and I have this conversation with my wife all the time. Is like, I need more hobbies.
I tell my wife that all the time. She needs more hobbies.
I need more hobbies. You know, because my when it's funny when you get in the fitness field, your passion, you get it confused with your hobby.
Yeah.
And there's a big gray area there, and I'm the first to admit I don't do enough to chill the hell out, because what I do when I have the time, I fill it with something else. Because I coach 2 of my kids' teams. I manage 2 of their teams. Like, I'm with them all the time. I mean, my kids, I could say my kids are my life. Is that a cop-out? Like, I don't know. And I probably need to do a way better job, because we're trying to get people. It's funny, like, when you start working in the business aspect of fitness, right? You start almost, and you're like, wow, I need to do some self-reflection on myself and really start to do stuff that's absolutely just for me, like going away, getting away, going to do things. And I don't think I do enough of it, honestly. Mm-hmm.
That's tough, man. And as a business owner, and I struggle with it as well, but I do a better job than my wife. My wife, I always say, hey, you need more hobbies, because she loves working. She loves building her business. She can't pull herself away from her phone. I try to say, hey, you know, like, let's, stop texting and answering emails at 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Let's, like, spend some quality time, eat our freaking dinner. And so she has a hard time with that separation, too. But, yeah, I think it's so important to be bad at something that's not fitness or exercise related even.
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm hitting the right spot here, I might have a tip for you.
What's that?
Your head.
Yeah.
I like your head.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
I've been looking at it the
I'll
whole
tell you
time.
the story of the hat and stuff. So I'm fortunate enough to have a brother-in-law who gets a ton of marketing stuff from ammunition, stuff like that. So
cool.
I have shot many times.
How?
I own how?
Yeah.
So he works for a company that that sells and distributes all kinds of gear. So he has a really cool job. He gets to go hunting with Fletcher Cox, and he gets to go on these big hunting trips and stuff. So, but I'm very lucky that every time my wife goes and visits, or I go visit, I get a sweatshirt, I get a hat, and yeah.
Oh,
That's
cool.
awesome.
Because here's the thing, I'm in a competition shooting.
Oh, are you really? Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
and not gonna lie, it started as a hobby.
Yeah.
You know, we have to have more hobbies, but now it's becoming like a job.
That's
So-
really cool.
And that's why I
awesome.
thought like you may be
Yeah,
in shooting too, and you can like apply more of that and have fun.
And he's looking for sponsors. He's trying to get it good enough to where he can get paid, monetize it a little bit.
Paid. Listen, it's like if I would get some little bit free ammo, because last month I went to about 1,500 rounds just last month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? I got into shooting over COVID. Everyone was home.
Yeah,
and then everyone was spending money. And honestly, that's when I got into it, and I started going a lot. I was a member over at Guardian for like a year, 2 years, and I was going there a lot. And you know what stopped me going there?
What?
When they went through that ammunition spike and it became so expensive to go waste rounds.
And you can only get like 2 boxes.
I'm like, forget it. Nope, that's way too expensive to be blowing rounds like that. It's like done.
Yeah.
You know, and now I go occasionally. I do.
I still use that range as like for my zeroing, because I always exchange the optics and this and that. Like last time I rocked my freaking rifle into the wall and the freaking optics fell off, and I had to like reinstall it and stuff and make sure it's like it shoots where I am.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's pain, but after zeroing it all in, then you knock it off. Got to go from scratch.
Yeah, and that's a $3+ grand weapon. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a just freaking $300 Turkish pistol.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But going back to the stuff you do to decompress and stuff, there's things that I've become so busy lately. And so, I mean, I have a business that I'm completely obsessed with. I have a lot of coaches that, even though they don't say it, depend on me to make this thing successful so they be successful. And I think it's a stretch that a lot of gym owners don't talk about, right? Because I came from a team-first mentality. I was I'm going to say I was a high-level soccer player. I was a high-level athlete. I was also a very good team member. I was. And when leadership duties are placed upon you, whether they're title or the way people perceive you, that puts a certain pressure, and certain people perform very, very well in that environment. They do. And for me, it's what I think my superpower is I will grind it out until we make it successful. I will grind it out. And I'll be the first one that, even in college, I wasn't getting playing time. Everyone's out partying. I'm going to go run in the rain.
Right.
You know, and I may have not have that mentality with fitness now, but I do stay consistent and I work out. But things like what will replace some of that stuff? Maybe I should start reading again. Books not about your field. Books outside your field to make you better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I can relate on that in a couple ways. Hardest thing for me to learn as a business owner, you go through a lot of phases.
Yeah.
And your first year, you see some success. You're like, oh, I got to figure it out. And then like you get hit with reality over and over and over. And one of the hardest things for me to wrap my head around and get better at is investing in your team. You're going to get out of them what you put into them. Being a good manager, and that team mentality. It's just you can't expect your business to thrive if you're not constantly reinvesting into them.
You can't, and really, it is team. With any organization, it's team first. Any organization, it's team first. The people make up the organization, especially when it's in a business where it's a service and the people are what supply the service. It's not a product.
Right.
It's not a product. You have no feelings about a product, but you have feelings about people.
Right.
Absolutely, especially if you're a little bit, let's say, introverted or not even introverted. There is so many different types of people. A lot of them are paying. They expect a lot. So your team members get tired. Mentally they get exhausted. So you have to keep them up there somehow. You have to figure it out.
Oh yeah.
Help them motivate.
Burnout in our industry is really high. And one of my younger guys, he's a hustler, man. He's starting his own online training on the side, and he's my highest booked trainer. And I'm always in his ear, like, hey man, like recognize those signs of burnout before they become too great, and then you got to do something. So what currently inspires you, man? What keeps you going?
Well, honestly, to tell you the truth, like working on my business and seeing like let me rewind back. So when I had purchased some of the business from Dr. Tom, I was like, well, my mentality was, there's a problem in the fitness field. There was a problem, and this is actually what keeps me going. The problem is we haven't professionalized the fitness profession, the coach position, right? So my thing when I took over, I was like, I kind of want to change the model. I have my master's degree in exercise science, and it took me years to be successful. And I don't even think am I successful now? I'm happy, right? I guess that's success, right? I'm happy. But like success is measured in a bunch of different ways. But I had to go at it so long. And you don't see this in other professions, right? Like you come out of school, you get a job as a nurse, right? You're successful.
The learning curve is like massive.
It is, and I think why that happens is because a lot of fitness people, we don't collaborate, right? We don't have conversations like this that are beneficial, mutually valuable, right? And I think that's a problem because we should be sharing our successes, right? Because there's a bigger problem here, like I talked about before, there's a bigger problem here with people's fitness. And no one's paying attention to it, And
it's whole like the I want to say continuum, like the health, body, personal life continuum, right? And I think what you're talking about is kind of like systems and templates that work for you, and you're trying to sort of lump it all into one little place to where you can share it with your people to impart that. So you're making sure that all those lessons you learned over the years that you had to spend time
making tons of mistakes, and I just want a place to say, hey, listen, if I want to do fitness for a living, here's where I can go do fitness for a living and actually help people. And the more people I see that happen to in my place of business, keeps me motivated. When it's so funny, I'm addicted to experience and enhancing the experience, you know, of even a member. It's more than just about the exercise. It's the experience, it's the type of people you're around. It's the way the place smells, the way it looks, the way the equipment is, the way your coach talks to you, the way they come dressed. Like, it's all part of the experience. And for me, at a certain level, and you probably see the same thing, it is more than about the exercise, right? At some levels it is, right? Because anything consistent, I love all exercise. I'm a fitness person. So I think powerlifting's cool. I think Orange Theory is cool. I think what you guys do.
Right.
I think Olympic weightlifting's cool. It just happens that I do CrossFit, right? But the thing is, there's so many different avenues that people can go into. It's like, you just got to find what's right for you. But here's where the problem is. Why don't people stick to what they're doing? Why? And it could be a couple different things. Could it be that it's not working, or could it be it's not working anymore because I lost interest and I can't stay consistent? So now they're on the next piece of their journey. Well, and
that's why what you're describing with your personal relationship with all these different venues of fitness and exercise, I think is so important, because I truly believe there's a form of fitness out there for everybody. And people need to find some sort of resistance training. Just even if you hate it, you got to,
for sure,
kind of just drive through until you don't hate it anymore.
For sure.
But we are blessed because we have a sports background and we've been exposed to all these different things. And as being in the industry, we get to a little taste of all of it, you know. And so I think it is important to stick to the fundamentals of what it's going to do to get them to their goals and keep, bone density and muscle mass and all that, but also make it enjoyable and expose them to other forms of fitness. It's huge.
And I mean, you'll probably learn this one day when you have kids. But my kids and my family keep me going. You wanna, as you get older. I just turned 44. So as you get older, you're like, thank you. You're like, what am I leaving here? What am I going to be known for? Did I make a kick-ass gym? Was I a good dad? Like that kind of stuff keeps you going. Like, I'm not in my gym 4 or 5 days a week. I'm in my gym 2 or 3 days a week taking class. I'm working out in my garage. And I'm doing things that make me feel good, right? Like, I don't have to go do CrossFit all the time. Like, maybe I want to go do carries. It's like this workout the other day. It's like, why would you do that? I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do that day. So I picked up a 120-pound sandbag, and I said, I'm going to walk it for a half mile, right? Every time I drop it, I got to do max effort. Close grip push-ups on the sandbag. That was a great workout.
I did that at Tyler State Park with one of my clients. we disc golf, like I said. So we carried around a couple discs. We carried sandbags for like 9 holes, and we would do overhead carry from one hole to the other. We would do side carry. We would do front rack, and being out in nature too, dude. It was free. It was like just a difference. It was change. It was awesome.
Yeah, and you got to make it interesting.
And it sucked.
Yeah, it sucks, right? And you have to make things stimulating in different ways, right? Because again, that was so simple, but that was one of the best workouts I had in a month. So simple, right?
Because you do it in your neighborhood,
right? In my neighborhood.
So you we're outside.
Outside, it's like it's 6 a.m. It's the weather. I love this weather.
This is my favorite time of year, 100%. Cold mornings, bro. You can wear the hoodie if you need to. You start sweating, rip it off.
Exactly.
I feel like this is gonna sound maybe funny, but those workouts, man, you can't get them every morning, but those, by yourself or even with somebody, early morning workout, sun's just coming up, maybe it's a little chilly, you have that weird outside of your norm workout. I feel like I've never been closer to God than those mornings. I just feel like I'm floating.
And for me, and it keeps on going. You asked a great question, man. The good question is like, what do you do to just chill out, right? And I think I feel like I work out, but that's kind of like your job, right? But no, for me, I think a lot. When I'm by myself and sometimes I'm not listening to music, and I'm solving my own problems, I'm solving business problems, I'm thinking about family decisions. It's a lot of time by myself that I get to solve problems, and that's what I need. And that actually keeps me pretty level-headed, because if I didn't do that, man, I don't know what it would be like. But that you make me think.
Listen, I guess you don't need a hobby. You just answered your own question.
Thank you.
Tell your wife it's like damn, girl, I'm doing well. Don't worry about it. I got my hobbies. Different way a little bit, but listen.
Yeah.
Well, and there's something to be said about being okay with being alone with yourself and your thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I heard this quote. I think it goes something like, a life lived without self-reflection is a life not worth living at all. And that's because it's like, you know, if you're always running from, I know some people, some old affiliates of mine who just could never be alone, always had to be with, and I've been in that place myself, but could never be alone, always had to be with people, always had to be out, always had to be doing something. Even if you're doing nothing at home, you're inviting somebody over. And that's a person that's running from something. They're scared and they're not processing something, and so they're stuck. That's a rut.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even like I love being by myself. Actually, I'm a natural introvert.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I can be for days, and even when I go to the like Poconos for a training, it's like I just rent the place far away from everyone, by myself all day.
Yeah, a lot of stuff gets done. It's crazy, it's nuts. But I mean, stuff like that, and for me, you know, other stuff that I do now, I'm extremely passionate about training kids. It's funny, all these years that I've been training adults, I worked with athletes, and now I have this one session on Wednesday nights, and it's 5 to 7 year olds, and I'm not lying, it's one of my favorite sessions because if you're good at it and you like it, the kids are absolutely engaged, right? They're absolutely improving, and you're actually creating a behavior earlier when it's actually needed. Because, you know, we deal with a lot of people where it's not too late, but it's late. Like, it's a behavior. It's a lifetime behavior of being physically active. Maybe not being in the gym, but you're physically active. You're a rock climber. You go hiking. You run all the time. You go work out. It's a behavior, and it's seen by the parent. It's seen from the children by the parents, right?
Right.
Like it's watched. You know?
Which is why it's so important to set a good example as a father or a mother.
Yeah.
And some of my clients, their kids have joined our workouts every now and again. They see their parents working out at home on their own, or they'll leave for school in the morning while we're getting it done in the driveway, and they're setting such a good example. And now the kids, you know, they call their one daughter the Viking because she's just unstoppable. Her ambition is, and she's like 11 or something like that.
Oh, that's wild.
They call her the Viking. I love that. What's a tip for somebody getting into fitness, exercise at the gym for the first time?
You know what I tell everyone when I sit them down, they come into the gym, and you know, I'm asking the questions to see if we can even help them, right? And I realize more and more how I'm such a fitness guy, and I want to find what's right for them, and it may not be us, right? Because consistency, no matter what, is the most important thing. Consistency.
Absolutely.
And with consistency, everyone's like, well, how much of this should I eat, or what should I do? I mean, there's basics. If you can't get your basics right, doesn't matter what you do, right? If you're not consistent with physical activity, that's number one, right? I don't care what it is. I would like it to have some strength training in it, but you have to have consistency. Number two, if you are not sleeping, right? Doesn't matter what else you're doing. That is foundational. And if you are not hydrated, that is also something that we can't even move on from here. I don't care if you carb cycle. I don't care if you go keto. I don't care if you intermittent fast. If you are not consistent, strength training included, you are not hydrated, and you are not sleeping, I don't know how many tricks you can do that actually make you really get some life-changing kind of things, right? And then we can add in what's the next layer to that, right?
Right.
Next layer would be like, okay, let's prioritize protein, right? Like simple, right? Prioritize proteins next. Okay, now you start prioritizing protein. Now you're eating adequately enough, right? Now you're nourished. Now you're actually putting on lean body mass, right? And then we can start going into, should we look at macros? Should we look at intermittent fasting? Should you do carb cycling? Like there's a whole bunch of stuff, right? But water, consistency, sleep, prioritize protein, just do that. And it's simple, not easy.
It's so hard to get people to buy into that. Like it's that easy.
When you think about it, it's easy too.
Yeah.
It's just people are making it hard. Because these days, all these generations of people are everything about excuses.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and shortcuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people don't see it. Sometimes when you live a certain way for so long, it's normal.
But it's a lifestyle. It's a learned lifestyle.
But let's look at why people can't see it, right? Because when you wake up every morning and you feel like garbage, and you're dehydrated every day, and you have no endorphin release because you do nothing fun and you don't exercise and you don't feel good about yourself, it becomes a feeling, right?
And
initially it'd be a bad feeling, and then all of a sudden the bad is the normal
baseline,
and you can't see another way. You can't see it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Listen, like simple things, like right. How hard is to walk 10 minutes after meal? How hard is it? Is it?
No,
absolutely not. Right? They're telling this everyone. Listen, it improves your digestion, it lowers your insulin. Boom, you're already doing way better. I still hear excuses. 10-minute walk. I'm not telling you to do burpees for 10 minutes. Just a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Get them to walk during their lunch.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, you will see me if you will ever see me in the gym after training a client. I eat and walk at the same time.
Yeah, and going back to walking's so simple, and you look at the lifespan, right? When you stop being able to walk, things are going to go downhill. And we look at that as like the life continuum, right? At a certain age, like if you don't continue to walk, things are not going to go well.
And bouncing, man, bouncing like a jumping and stuff like that. That's how I just call it bouncing. It's like keeps you young. That's one of the ways to keep yourself young. Even that's why I have a client in 60s. I tell them, jump, start jumping, guy.
Yep. Yeah. Explosive is a primary movement. It's one of the primary things we focus on with our kids program is like being explosive. Hopping on 1 foot, hopping on 2 feet, hopping backwards, hopping laterally, skipping. Skipping to me is a fundamental skill. Now we're going on a rant now, but skipping to me is a fundamental athletic movement that all kids should be able to do. You take yourself a group of high school kids, middle school kids, elementary school kids, the majority cannot skip. Take an adult. Wow. Can an adult skip? Take your adults, like, hey, we're going to do skips today.
Most of them not. Absolutely.
It's a fundamental athletic skill. Skipping.
Good luck getting most of them sprinting, man. Sprinting. And I'm not telling you even all out.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. It's like, so skipping is the fundamental movement. It's like, no wonder they're not sprinting. They can't skip.
Yeah,
you can't skip, and that's why for me I love training kids now because you're making the difference early. It's ingrained in their movement patterns now, in their motor patterns. Like they're going to know how to skip, and that's a big thing. I coach a U8 soccer team now. It's my favorite job in the world, right? And we've skipped so much, and we went from kids wrong arm, wrong leg, right? You're like not jumping, kind of like running, bounding. It's like, whoa, and now I'm seeing some really good skips, and you know what? They also got more athletic.
Bounce.
Right? Yeah, bounce. That's it. Be bouncy. Be bouncy.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
It. That's the next one.
Way to stay young. Way to stay young for old people too.
I like it.
Most of my clients are freaking 50 plus. So,
I get some shirts made, man.
It's the key. Be bouncy.
Yeah. Bounce around.
I freaking love it. Next title of the next podcast. What?
I love it.
What's your philosophy, man? I don't know if we maybe have already covered that. I don't want to be redundant, but if you had to nail your philosophy to a wall, short and concise, how do people, doesn't have to be necessarily gym related, but just life, health, balance?
Yeah, I would say, as far as, life, I was like, what you have to have is you have to have two things. Number one is you have to have acceptance, and then you have to learn and have the motivation to improve. You're going to make mistakes all along the line. You're going to make mistakes in exercise. You're going to make mistakes in life. You're going to make mistakes in business, in everything, right? People have to be really good at accepting they're going to make mistakes. Now, people can accept them, but some people refuse to learn from them. And you have to really reflect and learn. Now, you can learn what you did wrong, but now you have to be motivated and be conscious enough to not make those mistakes anymore. And I think in all avenues with exercise programs, with nutrition, you can always dial it down to, where was the mistake? Do you accept it? Did you learn? What are we going to do so it doesn't happen again? Anything happens wrong, even in staff communications, made a mistake. Did you learn? Did you accept it? Did you learn? What are we going to do next time? And you could do that with everything.
It's applicable to
everything.
And you wouldn't be where you were today if you hadn't accepted.
There's one guy. Yeah, this one guy said to me, "Wise men have made a million mistakes."
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Take advice from people that made a lot of mistakes, and I even had that in my pregame. I'm going back to my U8 soccer team pregame. Hey guys, we're gonna play a good team today. You guys have to make mistakes. If you make mistakes, there's going to be nothing to learn. I'm going to have nothing to teach you. You guys just can't be upset with yourself for making mistakes. You accept it, you acknowledge it, you learn, and you learn how to solve it. And that's it.
It's a great mentality, man. Great skill to teach the youth.
Yeah. And actually, that's the point of having a mentor, too, because he made all those mistakes. He's going to catch you on the time.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you're willing to learn, of course.
We can have a whole new podcast on mistakes.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Listen. That's the life. It's mistakes.
Yeah, right.
All right. You got any resources for us, man? What's been influential for you? You mentioned reading outside of your industry, which I find to be extremely important, because my first couple years in business, I was just like self-improvement, finance, podcasts, books. And I was getting like sick in the head, couldn't even retain it all and use it all. So then I went and read my first fiction book. It was actually an Audible, but and I was like, wow, this is incredible. Yeah. It's been a long time. I used to read as a kid, but and it's just like, it was something outside that was still good for my mental health, but just outside of like my realm. So like, what's a resource? It could be anything.
Definitely. So I'll tell you what, there was a time I can relate to. There's so much information out there. There was a time where I wouldn't listen to podcasts because so much stuff was going through my head, right? And I was like, let me read books because it's more isolated and stuff like that. And I love reading books. I really, really do. And are they part of my job? I don't know. I guess yes, but I learn a lot about life through them. So for me, two things that I've done to be better at my job. So we're all coaches in some shape or form, right? We're all coaches. I found that I've learned a ton from reading about great coaches. I read Coach K's book. I read Ferguson's book, was the Manchester United great coach. Like, read all about him. I read Pep Guardiola's book. He's our Man City coach. He was coach at Barcelona, great soccer coach. And it wasn't about X's and O's stuff. Like, it wasn't. It was about culture, how to have team culture, a little bit of X's and O's, and kind of how to work with people. And like the current book I'm reading now is called the Matheny Manifesto, which was, I may get this wrong. He was a catcher for the Cardinals, or he was a catcher for someone else. And then he ended up coaching, maybe for the Cardinals, maybe for another Major League Baseball team. And he stopped coaching, and he decided he was going to coach his son's 10-year-old baseball team. And he wrote this 5-page document that later got coined and went viral, the Matheny Manifesto, which was everything wrong with youth sports today. And it goes deeper than youth sports. It's a culture thing. It's how society has changed. Like, hey, listen, here are the rules. There is no participation trophies, right? It was whoa. It was also like, you're trusting your kid to let me be their coach. Let me do that because that's what I do. So he's like, anything that you ever question me about, you're not allowed to question me about their position, where they bat, like any of that stuff. And the one short story which turned me on to the book, I had a friend tell me about it. He goes, well, a mom on the team said, hey, I noticed Johnny was batting 7th now. He used to bat 4th. I really think you should move him up in the order. And the guy goes, well, ma'am, you just lost your son's spot on the team, because this is what's wrong with youth sports culture in general. It's like, you can't accept that now your child has moved down and that was a coaching decision, right? And that's just the way it is. And there's a bunch of other instances in the book about this is the way it is and here's why, right? And it was really eye-opening even for running a business, right? Because even when you run a business, you're still a coach. You're coaching people now. Like, and I don't coach many athletes, kids or adults. I coach some. I coach coaches, and I help people do better. I'm still a coach, and it feels good. But that's one book, Matheny Manifesto. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's just, people go get that. Anyone in the coaching world, mentoring world, go read that. It's about youth sports, but it has way deeper meanings to it.
Sounds great. I got to check that out.
Oh, yeah.
Is that your last one? Last resource there?
Is that my last resource? I don't know. Can I plug someone?
Yeah. Well, that's next. Plugs is next.
All right. Can I plug someone in the fitness industry?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, this guy's, I think he's famous to me, but Stuart Bauer, WTF Gym Talk, right? That guy was my business mentor for a couple months as we were coming out of COVID. And he changed the game for me, man. And I'll comment on his Instagram stuff sometimes. I don't even know if he remembers me, but he made some of the biggest impact in my life in the fitness world. Totally changed the way I view my business, changed the way I do things. And he was someone that, he was abrasive. He wasn't afraid to tell me that I wasn't doing a good job. And I had to, again, I made mistakes. I had to accept it. I had to learn. I had to say I wasn't going to do them again and how I was going to make it better. And he pushed me out of my comfort zone to do that. He put so much free resources out there. He has a podcast. He has his Instagram page. And honestly now, he told me, he's like, I put so much stuff out for free, but people need to pay me to work with me so I can help them do better, because people need to pay, like the fitness field, to get training because it's going to hold them accountable, right? It holds you to it. It's exactly what I did. I paid someone to mentor me because I wasn't really I was listening to the free stuff, but nothing was holding me doing the free stuff. Now I listen to all his stuff, and he's been super, super influential for me and really got me to this point, and super, super blessed to have worked with him.
That's beautiful, man. What a great plug. Plug your own business. Plug your socials.
Oh, yeah. So CrossFit Newtown, at CrossFit Newtown. You can also follow our Youth Academy page at Newtown Youth Academy. We also, Coach Janice Perry also works over at CrossFit Newtown. She has Trifecta Nutrition Coaching. Awesome nutrition coach. Really great behavior change focused. Individualized. We're not setting any one way of eating. We find what way works for you, and we decide how it fits into your life.
Beautiful.
Solid.
Thanks for joining us today, brother.
Hey, thank you, man.
It was a pleasure, man.
Oh, yeah, totally. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, we will.
Definitely.
All right, here we go. We appreciate each and every single one of you.
A lot. Oh, God.
Thanks. You're rusty. We're both rusty. We appreciate you guys for watching and following along. If you want us to provide a better experience, you can submit a topic request form.
Oh, yeah. You can email him on what email?
You still don't remember it?
God.
Mitchell Black,
There you go.
BLAAK@gmail.com.
How many times I have to say this has to be like the fun part of
I know,
the
it is.
Sheesh.
Every time it is. Shoot us a DM. Comment on any of our socials to stay up to date on all that we are up to or will be up to. Give us a follow on Instagram at @thefence_podcast, on YouTube at The Fence Podcasts, and wherever you listen to your podcasts, simply @The Fence. We'll see you next time.
Oh, yeah.